Hello. Let me quickly set the scene for you here. It was 1979, and I had just been discharged from the South African Army as a 19-year-old. And in the 2 years I was at conscription time, call it, I'd become an officer, and in the latter part of that time, an intelligence officer. So I'd had quite a nice sojourn there. It was productive. In fact, I look back on it now and I can actually say I liked the army. Can't say I could say that when I was in, but I actually did. I enjoyed it. So, the scene was that my entire life I'd been pegged as a lawyer by my mother. There was no debate. And I had been discharged in July, and I had 6 months to get enough money together for the first, I don't know, year, first semester, as much money as I could to pay for my university degree. Because being a dutiful son, I agreed I was going to be a lawyer. So I got a job on the railways, on the freight trains, as what they call a unit assistant, where you sit next to the driver and there's on these freight trains. And between you, there's only two seats. There's a hot plate with a kettle. And your job is to make tea for the driver and to look straight down the line. And when he says green, because there's a green traffic light, you say green. And when the track goes around the corner, the big highlight was to look out of the window behind you to see if any of the trucks that you were pulling had come loose. And because he was Afrikaans and I was English, there wasn't much conversation between us, but whatever. But the beauty of it was that you could work long shifts because they paid you for an 8-hour day, but every time there was a passenger train, the goods train had to pull off onto a siding and let the trains pass. So it could take you 18 hours to go 50 miles down the road. And if you elected to, you could sleep in the unit and carry on the shift. And by the time you got home, sometimes, you'd done a 20-hour shift. It was good money. So I, one day, was between shifts. And this, of course, was long, long, long before they ever invented mobile phones. And I was about to experience a divine intervention in my life. So, my name is Paul Krige. I've worked in the music industry for 40 years. And this channel is called Come As You Are. And it's about stories that I want to share with you over my time in my career in the music business. So I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, I was fast asleep and the phone rings. And I answer, I'm like, hello, hello. And it was Karen, the girl that I'd worked with at the record bar a couple of years before I went into the army. And by the time I left the record bar, Karen and I were very good friends. We had really good understanding and we sold a lot of records. And in the meantime, she had got a job as a promotions manager for Polygram in Johannesburg. And I vaguely remember her saying, "Are you awake?" I was like, yeah, I'm awake. And she said, I'm calling you because there's a job going at Polygram, and I think you should apply for it. And I remember going, no, I'm not really interested. I'm on my way to uni. I'm going to do law. She said, "Are you sure?" I went, yeah. Thanks, Karen. I said, "Where are you working?" She said, "I'm at Trueturn." I went, "Oh, okay." I said, I'll call you when I wake up." Put the phone down. And as I was drifting back to sleep, I wasn't sure whether I'd actually just heard that call or not. And I sat bolt upright in bed. I thought, she's offering me a job at a record company? So I quickly looked up in the directory for True Tone Music, found it, phoned, got through to Karen. I said, Karen, did you just phone me? She said, yeah. I was going to phone you back. I could hear you were asleep. I said, have you got a job? She went, absolutely. She said, I think you're perfect for it. It's as a salesman selling records in country areas. I said, wow. Oh, okay. She said, I've teed you up an interview for tomorrow with a sales manager. His name's Jeff. She said, and I'll tell you a few things about Jeff very quickly. She said, first of all, he's a complete fuckwit. Okay, just know that. Second of all, he doesn't know much about the music business. He's the husband of a girl whose father is the chairman of the company, and they basically gave him a job so that they don't get embarrassed. And by the way, he likes to gamble on the horses. If there's anything that he's passionate about, it's gambling on horses. So I thought, great. And the first thing I did was phone a youngster that I'd stayed in touch with. I was his lieutenant during basic training, and he was a jockey. And I phoned him up. I said, Carl, have you got any tips for Turfentine this week? He said, yeah. And he gave me a few. So I wrote them down. Next day, turned up for the interview. And on first sight, in walking into the office, I could tell exactly what Karen was talking about, because this guy just had loser tattooed all over his face. Complete wanker. And when I sat down and started the interview, it became apparent that I knew more about his catalogue than he did, which impressed him. Then he told me about the gig. And it was going out on a 4-week cycle into Western Transvaal, Northern Transvaal, East, South, bit of the Free State. And quite a bit of driving every week. But the thing was, they picked up all of my expenses. They paid for my hotels and my food. And it was a company car, so the petrol was free. And gave me a list of clients, gave me a catalogue to go and choose samples from this wonderful polygram catalogue. And I thought, I'm getting close to getting this job. And then I looked on the desk and I saw the page from the newspaper with the races, the horse races. So I said to him, oh, do you punt? He went, yeah. I said, are you any good? He went, oh, I don't know, win some, I lose some. And I took this note that I'd made from my troop. And I said to him, yeah, this friend of mine's a jockey. He gave me these tips for tomorrow. And he was so chuffed that I knew at that minute I'd got the job. I didn't hear from him the next day, but the day after that, I got a call from him, beside himself. 4 of the horses that I'd given him had won, and he'd made himself a little bit of money on the side. And he offered me the job. So here I was, 19 years old, company car, brand new. Monday to Thursday, out of the country, calling on a prescribed list of customers, and had to be home in Joburg by Friday for the sales meeting. So I'll never forget that first day. I turned up at the office, picked up my brand new car, 2 cases of free records, a week's worth of paid hotels. And law was forgotten. Never thought about being a lawyer again. And I just thought, if this isn't divine intervention, I don't know what is. But man, I'm going to enjoy every second of this. And I didn't know then, but that was the beginning of a 40-year career in the music business. So stay tuned. Come on the journey with me. I've got some great stories. They'll go for quite a while, believe me. But until next week, come as you are. See ya.